Mahotoro です。見ていただいてありがとうございます。Hello everyone, this is Mahotoro. I'm gonna be doing something a little different because I'm still trying to figure life out. Or I guess this YouTube thing. Whatever. I'm gonna do something I thought would be fun because I've been studying for my N1 test, my third attempt. I failed the last two attempts. And I've been getting really busy with that and my job and stuff. But I have free time and I'm trying my best to have fun during my free time. So the way I have fun is I read books. I'll take some pictures of my books that I can show you on this video. And I thought it would be really fun to talk about some of the differences between the source material and its anime counterpart, because if you are like me and you watch different forms of media like the anime, you may have come across stories of either anime that were completely different and way off from like their novel counterpart or their manga counterpart or whatever, or like many anime, the series just kind of stops. And this is because, if you didn't know this, anime aren't really how to put it, they're not really the meat of the property, if that makes any sense. They're more like advertisements over here in Japan, right? So like say I wrote a book and I get published and it gets famous and it's like, okay, it's gonna get an anime. That just means I sold enough that it's gotten popular enough to where a company is willing to pay money to make a giant ad, which will then hopefully sell more numbers. So for anime that actually finish with its book series counterpart, that's kind of rare, and that kind of tells you how popular that particular series is, right? So like Demon Slayer was super popular here in Japan, so it got the whole deal done, right? Stuff like that. Whereas I don't know, like Blend S, a series that I think is really funny, did not. And now I'm gonna be reading through that at some point once I finish this stuff. So anyway, the series that I've been kind of focusing on right now, because I'm still kind of reading slow. I think the fastest that I can read in a given book or in a given day is somewhere between 20 to 30 pages in an hour so far, which is significantly better than last year, because last year I was doing like 5 pages in an hour, which this is, by the way, I should mention, this is in Japanese, by the way, not in English. I have not read the English version of these books, because I live in Japan, so the easiest way is just to get the Japanese versions, right? I can buy books for like 1 yen. All right, that's amazing. I'm going to show you a picture of my bookshelf. So I like, or if I didn't already, I have the entire Bakemonogatari series. I haven't read it yet, because I'm still kind of studying, because I know that book has a lot of nuance behind it, and I'm still kind of learning. So I'm kind of taking it a step at a time. But I have all of them. And it's because the majority of those books were anywhere between 1 yen to 100 yen plus shipping. And if you don't know what that means, let me put it this way. $1 US is, I think, 152 yen-ish, maybe 160 right now at this current point in time. So think about that. It's 1 yen. All right, so that's like less than a penny. All right, for an entire book. That's amazing. I think shipping was like 300 yen, so that's like maybe like just over $2 or something. Anyway, so the series I thought would be fun to talk about today in this video. All right, I think it's a series that most people know about if you've been in this circle of entertainment, I guess. A little series called Suzumiya Haruhi, right? Suzumiya Haruhi no Yutsu is I think the series name overall. But what you probably didn't know is like, okay, so this is very common in anime, all right? So when a book series gets long enough and it's made into an anime, usually like the first 3 or 4 episodes, like, or I should say sections of 3 or 4 episodes are usually a book, right? The first book. So like in this case, episode 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So 5. And 6. Okay, so in this one it's 6. Usually it's like 4 or 5. The first 6 episodes of the series are the first book. All right. I can definitely see why, because there's a lot to explain. And then like the next 4 or 5 episodes are the second book, right? So you're getting multiple books in an anime series, right? So like with ReZero, for example, I believe the first 4 episodes of ReZero are book 1, and then the next 3 or 4 episodes are book 2. So with that out of the way, I just wanted to say that this being the first one of this series I'm going to try and make, because I feel like I have time to do this from my busy schedule of studying and reading and all this stuff. I don't want to just turn my life into come home, play video game, and then sleep. I don't know. It doesn't really sound entertaining to me. I want to do something fun. Okay. So I guess like I had like a long talk with myself, and I said I definitely want to still try and write, but writing takes a lot of energy, and I don't have the energy to do that after work. And at the same time, if you watch some of the older videos on my channel, I try to like mix Japanese and English together, and it doesn't really work out. It's like that situation where I'm trying to satisfy both viewers, like both sides of I'm trying to satisfy everybody, and it's not entertaining. I've seen I did a few live streams of some stuff, and they're just, it's just not entertaining. I'm trying to find that niche that I can fit into. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do. So I feel like this is one of the things that I enjoy doing. I enjoy looking at differences between mediums. And then on top of that, I'm also kind of translating in a way. And I decided that for the most part, these are going to be in English, because I figured that if I go over the differences in Japanese, the Japanese audience already knows. They know the source material. They've seen it. They you know what I mean? Like, so there's that. It might be easier for everybody. I don't know. I like speaking in Japanese. I love this language. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. It's fun. I love writing kanji. I love looking at kanji. It's just really great. Where do I start? How do I start this? All right, I guess I should start with explaining Suzumiya Haruhi. Let's do that. So first off, this is huge spoiler warning. Okay, I when I talk about stuff, I don't shut up, and I can't not talk about spoilers when I get into things. So if you haven't seen this series, I will tell you that it is in English. You can in fact watch it right now. It is on Netflix. At this moment, I don't know if Netflix is going to change that, but at this current moment in time, it is on Netflix. The English translation is great. It is super good. I love the way Kyon talks. Kyon is the main character. He talks like, okay, so he talks very poetically both in English and in Japanese. They did a really good job with the translation. I've seen this particular series both in English and in Japanese. It's great. It's really funny. Now also knowing nuances with Japanese as well, I get a kick out of it. Like it feels like completely fresh to me from before when I watched it in English. Like, it's great. I love it. And then on top of that, there are references that were taken out when it was translated to English because, obviously localization and stuff. But I'm not going to talk so much about the English anime, the English version of the anime, or the English books. I can't talk about the English books because I haven't read them. I'm not going to talk about the English version of the anime because you can just go watch it, right? Like you can go watch it right now on Netflix. But one thing that you probably can't do as an English viewer, right, as a person who does not understand Japanese, I can tell to you, I can submit to you, the viewer, I can tell you the differences in the Japanese book to the Japanese anime, and probably in doing so also the English version of those as well. So not 100%, but I'm sure some of it will spill over. But before we start, big spoiler warning, I'm not gonna hold anything back. If it happens to run by what I'm talking through, I'm not here to tell you exactly what happens in the series, but what I am saying is, as I'm talking, I may go through spoiler territory, and if that doesn't sound good to you, then go get a Netflix account and watch it and come back. Okay. Let me tell you about some history about this stuff. Okay. Let's start with the author's name. It is a light novel series written by Tanigawa Nagaru, or I guess if you want to switch it into English, Nagaru Tanigawa, right? And it was published by Kadokawa. Okay. If you've been in this sphere of entertainment, you know who Kadokawa is, the company. They're a book publishing company. They publish just about everything that is light novel and anime based that turns into an anime. If you've probably seen the Kadokawa symbol on a movie somewhere, I'm sure. And it was illustrated by, at least in the novels, it was illustrated by Ito Noizi? Noishi? I don't have. Hang on. I have the book in front of me. Do I have the? Is the illustration written? Oh, here we go. Yeah, Ito Noizi. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I was reading the English and never mind. Anyway. Yeah. Ito Noizi. That's what it says. The illustrator. So. All right. So there's that, and if future me remembers, editing me remembers to take a picture of the books that I am using for reference, my personal books 1, 2, and 3. Let's go ahead and get started with what's going on. So just really quick, the English version of the novels are published, or I guess translated, by a publishing company called Little Brown Books for Young Readers, which I was a little surprised by because Haruhi says some pretty grotesque shit. Oh crap. No. Oh, I might have to bleep that. I don't think YouTube likes people cussing anymore. I don't remember. Oh. Crap. Oh, fuck it. Alright, so it's translated by those people. And I thought about some of the lines that Haruhi said, like, I don't know, bribing a computer nerd to give them their computer, otherwise she'll tell everybody that they tried to do very awful things to another classmate. That would probably be put on like RedTube or something. I'm not gonna get into detail, but like young readers. Anyway. So I did some research, just a little bit, to see what the consensus is on the English version of the book, because again, I haven't read the English version, so I wouldn't know. But apparently the consensus is that it's okay. So it said like I've read like a thread or two about the translation, and it says that it's okay. It's pretty faithful to the original source material, with the exception that it pulls a Pokemon. Not, I guess not 100% like a Pokemon, but like it, in the sense that, like, you know, if you've watched the old Pokemon, they're holding onigiri, and if you don't know what an onigiri is, it's a rice ball, all right? So they're holding onigiri, and they call them donuts. It's, it's you know, so they don't go that far with it. But for example, somebody here on the Reddit thread says that in a scene where she opens a refrigerator and says, "I found warabi mochi." Warabi mochi, I'll put a picture of warabi mochi if future me will remember. It's basically just mochi, but it's like a special kind of mochi. It's got like, I think it's powdered sugar, or maybe it's like, some kind of like seed or something. I don't remember. So like it's got some dressing on it. It's really good. I like warabi mochi. It's also very gooey. I love it. But in the English version, she says, "I found a tasty treat," or something. Where is it? Oh, sweet treat. I found a sweet treat, which is just kind of, it's kind of not. It doesn't paint a great picture. You know what I mean? It's kind of odd. It's a very weird English translation. And then other things like pop culture references. So for example, Kyon references Godzilla Island in a certain line. Or like, rather I should say, the home of Mothra in Godzilla, not Godzilla Island, the home of Mothra in Godzilla, which is called Infant Island. And in the English version, they take that out, which then makes the comment about giant monsters coming out of the ocean kind of random. But it makes more sense in the Japanese version because he's mentioning Godzilla, right? Like he's mentioning Mothra's island. So then he starts talking about kaiju, right? So just little things like that. So if you're worried about the translation, it seems fine. You'll probably be fine. So that's great. I was happy to hear that. The last thing I want to talk about before I get into this, I'm looking through my notes, is the air order. So if you are a fan of Suzumiya Haruhi, you know about this already. But in case you're new here, hello, welcome. If you're interested in this series, I would be very happy. And I hope I can get you interested into this series that is very funny. Okay, so the series, the book order. Okay, I should start with the book order. So the book order is, I'm gonna go through the names. Okay, book 1, Suzumiya Haruhi no Yutsu. So that would be like the melancholy, right? Suzumiya Haruhi no Tameiki. Tameiki is like a breath. Okay. That's the second book. Third book, Suzumiya Haruhi no Taikutsu, which would be her boredom. I suppose is what you can say. Her boredom. She's bored, right? So those are the three I'm gonna go over today. Okay, because that's as far as I've read so far. I'm still like a little slow reader. When I get faster, I would love to go through more. The next one is Shoushitsu, which I believe is the movie. So I'm excited to get into that. I liked the movie. The one after that, Boso, which would be aggression. I'm not sure if that's part in the anime or not. I'm like, again, this is like, we're gonna start as I go farther down the list. We're gonna get into territory that probably did not show up in the anime at all, because the anime has, I think, only 4 or 5. But next would be, it says, I believe that's Dosho, I believe is what that is. I'm gonna fact check myself because I want to learn this language as perfect as possible. So we're gonna see. Oopsies! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Technical difficulties. All right, cut until I get the answer. Oh, sorry, I had to fact check that. I'm glad I fact checked myself. So the answer is so book 6 is called Doyo, which 心が揺れ動くこと。So like 平和を失うこと。So like I guess the easiest way to say is like shifting or like kind of like I'm trying to like find the like a proper English word as opposed to like a sentence, but basically like trembling or like moving or rumbling, like just some kind of moving. So like the Japanese definition, kokoro ga yure goku. So like it like moves your heart, but not moves in the sense of like you're moved, like oh my god, like no, but more like it makes you, oh my god, it makes you on edge or something, like right, like on edge, like heion no ushinau. So like you lose peace, right? Like the point is it's moving. All right. And then the next one, I believe that's insho. Hang on, again, I'm gonna fact check myself. Hang on. There are still some words I can't read 100%, but we'll get there. We're almost every day I get a little better, and it makes me happy. Oh, imbo, yeah, imbo, which is like making a secret and then keeping it from people or something, or like yeah, like yeah, like keeping a secret from someone or something. Yeah, something like that. Like, let's see. All right, so the next one would be, oh my god. 1 minute. Future me. I'm gonna fact check. Oh my god, fact check. Oh, I can't English. All right. The next one is fungai, which is 理不尽な対応、非常にな出来事。Okay, so マナー違反などに腹を立って激しい気取ること。Okay, so like that sounds fun. Basically doing something that doesn't make any sense, and like or doing something illegal, or just something that doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit with the status quo, right? So that one was book 8, and yeah, so fungai. The next one, I believe that's 分冊? Let me see. Bunetsu. Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Bunetsu. So the next one is Bunetsu, which is like splitting, right? Suzumiya Haruhi no Bunetsu. So she splits, I guess. That one I don't remember that one coming out because I was still in. Yeah. Okay. The next one after that would be, I think that's Zekkyo. Kyogaku. Oh, sorry. The next one is Kyogaku, which is like unexpected, right? So Suzumiya Haruhi no Kyogaku. So like the unexpectedness of Suzumiya Haruhi or something like that, right? It's unexpected and it's surprising, right? Like that's what the word means. And it looks like there's a part 1 and part 2. So that one might be 2 books. The 11th book, which came out in 2020, Chokkan, right? Yeah, so the next one is called Chokkan, which basically means like without having to analyze something you just kind of know. So like I guess intuition would be a good word. And then the last one, the most recent one, which came out in 2024, Gekiba, which I believe that is like a play area, like a stage. I believe is what that is, a stage, Gekiba. Yeah. I just wanted to double check. Okay, so there you go. Those are the book releases, right? Now here's the anime releases. There's not going to be as many, but here's what they are. Okay, so first it starts with Yutsu, right? The first book. So the first book is the same, but immediately after that we go into Taikutsu, which is the third book. So they completely skip the second book. Okay, it goes into the third book, which is strange because there is somewhat of a linear line, like there is somewhat of a continuity, not in the sense of character progression, at least not yet, but definitely in terms of time, because when the series starts.
Hello everybody, this is Future Mahotoro coming in from, I don't know, a few months from the future. Anyway, I'm talking about time here, and I got a little confused trying to explain everything, but basically the order, now this is, by the way, this is future me talking from having read the first 6 books. I'm on book 7, Inbo. So essentially the first book takes place in kind of like late spring, right? That's gonna cover basically all of book 1. Book 2 is the fall festival, and during the fall, like they're making the movie for the fall festival, or it's technically the culture festival, but it's during fall, which is why it was so surprising when the trees all turned to sakura, because sakura bloom in spring normally. But anyway, book 2 is fall. Then we have summer, which is book 3. Book 4 is the movie, so that's winter. And then 5 kind of has a bunch of, well, anyway, I should actually stop there because this video is about books 1 through 3. So I'll let the other videos that I already made the voice work for book 4, and I'm gonna make the voice work for book 5 and 6. Or actually 4 and 5 I already finished. I'm gonna make the one for 6 soon. It's been a wild ride trying to create all of these things, but I'll send it back to past me. But just know that. So basically the first book is end of spring, kind of starting summer. Second book is fall, the culture festival. Third book is summer. So like the point I'm trying to make is the writer and the anime jump around through time, and it is not linear, although there is a linear story going on, but they jump around a lot. Anyway, back to me. Bye.
Now, all of that being said, I've set up the series, I've introduced it to you. Now, if you're new to Suzumiya Haruhi, what is it? What is the premise? Allow me to explain this to you. And if this doesn't interest you whatsoever, then I'm going to go ahead and say you probably don't like fun things. No, I'm just kidding. So, the premise, in a nutshell, without going too far into the spoiler territory, even though I'm going to get into spoilers later, but the premise is basically, there is a girl named Suzumiya Haruhi. She is God. She doesn't know she's God. And by God, I mean she can break reality. She has the ability to break reality as she sees fit. But she is doing it unconsciously. She cannot do it within her own right mind. When she gained this power, the universal consciousness that exists within the universe caught wind of it and thought that it may become either a threat or at the very least more powerful than it. So it sent some aliens or like some pieces of itself to go and monitor that phenomenon, which the phenomenon is Suzumiya Haruhi. So it sent what my favorite character Yuki calls herself is a humanoid. What was it? Humanoid interface. So basically, if you can imagine a piece of the universal consciousness that exists in the universe manifesting itself as a human being, but is actually a supercomputer that also can break reality, but not to the point where Haruhi can, and it also requires permission from the universal consciousness. And it does this by what she says, adjusting data, right? So the entire universe is just data. She can adjust data. So she is an alien supercomputer witch, like a magic. She's like they technology, magic, blah 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 blah. So she that's why she's also a witch in the series. Anyway, so I like her a lot because I like how she doesn't emote to anything. I typically like the non-emotive characters because of the situations up there. Whatever. Anyway, so that is Yuki. She is a space alien supercomputer magic user. She's a witch. There is in the future in history, there is a point in time that is just a gap. Like there's just a gap or some kind of phenomenon in the time space continuum. So the people from the future sent somebody back in time to figure out why. And this is Mikuru. So she is a person from the future, and she's there to monitor Haruhi. There is Koizumi. I think his first name is Itachi? I don't remember. But everyone calls him Koizumi, so I call him Koizumi. So Koizumi is he is a superhero, but he can only be a superhero inside of a space or a dimension that is created by Suzumiya Haruhi when she becomes upset or dissatisfied with something. Or I guess I should start by saying when she does that, when she becomes dissatisfied or upset, she creates a space in a dimension that they call the Fusakukan, I believe is what that's called. But in English, you can call it like the empty space, right? And in this empty space, these giant beings, in Japanese they're called shinjin, like kami ni hito. So like, I guess you can just say god beings or like just giant blue giants. They're just blue giants. Like they just look like giant blue things. And they start destroying stuff, basically attempting to destroy reality as we know it in order to rebuild it in such a way that it will please Haruhi. And she's doing this subconsciously. So when that space opens, Koizumi and his organization, because there's an organization of them, go to the space and they fight the giant blue things to disperse the extra dimension. Okay, so that's how they're saving our world. And that's Koizumi. He's a superhero, but he can't use his superpowers in the regular dimension just because that's the rule. Like he just can't. And then finally we have Kyon. He's just a high schooler. He's just a regular guy. And he is a regular guy who's like, the way he speaks is just absolutely hysterical. I love the way he speaks. It's very poetic for very many nonchalant and mundane things, and it's great. I love it. And that's the crew. That is the main cast. Okay, the main character being Kyon. Now, a little bit more about Haruhi. She is a very unlikable person. She is not nice. She doesn't care about anybody else but herself. She is selfish. She is, she will no, I don't know, cutthroat. I don't know. No, cutthroat's the wrong word. She'll do anything to get what she wants. But less in a goal determined way and more. I mean, I guess it is trying to set out a goal, but it's she's crazy. She's just nuts. Okay, if you mix that kind of personality with the personality of the kind of person that, if you've ever met this person, not to say that you're a bad person, but just if you've ever met a person who's very like, how do I put this? She cannot separate her imagination with reality, in the sense that, like, okay, how do I put? Let's just imagine we have a person. Okay, I'm just gonna use a random example. I'm like, not off the top of my head. Okay, like let's just say this person really likes Naruto. Okay, and this person loves Naruto so much to the point where like this person believes that Naruto is real, right? Like, and they need to like find Naruto, right? Like, like imagine that kind of imagination mixed with reality. Like they're like, I need to do this and like whatever. Like, and they won't put it down. Like they won't, you know, like if you just have that kind of person. Now again, not to say that that person is bad. I'm just using it as an example. But that's a problem because when, you know, she thinks that way, it becomes reality, which is why we have Yuki, Mikuru, and Koizumi. Well, that's why they exist, right? And that's the premise, right? So their whole point is to make sure that she doesn't break reality, and number two, make sure that she doesn't realize that she has those powers. Because if she realizes that she has those powers, there is a high probability that she will just go crazy and completely change the world as we know it, and that's no good for anybody. So that's the premise, okay? Now on to what I want to talk about. This part is probably going to be the shortest part. I figured that I should explain what I'm talking about in case there are people here that don't know what I'm talking about, so they at least have a leg in what I'm talking about. And if the story interests you, or like my little summations interests you even in the slightest bit, it gets you to watch or read this series. And if that happens, then that would make me very happy, because I made you very happy. Okay. So let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my notes here. There are not many because it's only the first 3 books, but also because they actually did a really good job I should say moving the book material to anime format. Okay. Not a whole lot was lost. The biggest thing, at least, well, let's start from the beginning, right? So the beginning here, oh my god. Where's my notes? There we go. So the beginning, right, the first 5 or 6 episodes of the first book, in the first 5 or 6 episodes, basically on point. I would say 90% not different. The 10% that is different is tiny little dialogue things and the course of events that happen. So like I think for example, in the anime, Haruhi gets really upset because she can't find any space aliens and stuff, and there's that interaction of Kyon and Mikuru on the computer, and Kyon is trying to hide the pictures of Mikuru, right, because he has a crush on her. This happens, and then Haruhi disappears, I believe is how it happens in the anime. In the book, Haruhi is gone first. Like, she just outright gets depressed and does not come to school. And because she is gone, that event happens. Okay, so like just little things like that. So it's basically the same thing, I would say, to a T. Well, I guess not to a T. It's a little different, so I guess not to a T. But whatever, anyway. Now, I will say we're going to go to the second book. The second book, to my memory, is the same as the anime just about, because, and the reason I say that is because I'm watching the anime series a second time as I'm going through the book series, but because the anime has the second book at the end, I have not gotten to the end, so I can't say 100% that it's the same. But from memory, from the English version that I watched a few years back, it's basically the same. I didn't have any points when I was reading the book where I was like, that's different, I don't remember that, but it was basically the same. If I had to guess, it's probably the same as the first book, right? It's like it's not that bad. However, third book, and thereby the next 4 episodes of the series after the first. Third one is way different. Super different. And before I get into that, I did also want to point out that I can't really remember what they say in English, but I know that in English we don't have a whole lot of words that express just how much emotion we have, because a lot of our emotion in English comes from tone, right? So like, for example, if I said, oh hey, how are you, right? So that's like, I'm really happy. But if I said it like, hey, how are you, right? Or I should say like, oh hey, how are you, right? That sounds a little bit more sarcastic, right? But it's the same phrase, okay? So like, a lot of our emotion is told through our tone in English, right? So in Japanese, that's also true to a point, but there's a big difference if I say その人の顔 versus その人の面, right? So the tone was kind of the same. 顔 means face. 面 also means face, but 面 is like it's a way more brutish way of saying face. Like if somebody were to say 面, it means that they're kind of like mad, or they really don't like that person, right? Like it's like if I said, I'm looking at your fucking face, right? Like that's like the inflection that word has. So Kyon uses that a lot in the first book, and a few times in the second and third book, I think, when he's talking about Haruhi, right? So I wanted to point this out because in the English version, it's really obvious that he doesn't like Haruhi, right? Like it's obvious. Like he's like, oh, this crazy girl, right? I hate her so much. In the Japanese version, there's more spite behind that. Like there's a kick, right? Like he's like, I hate this person. This person needs to fuck off. Okay, and I hope that like future editing me is doing something about my censoring, because I don't want YouTube to like get mad at me or whatever. But yeah, this, like, he despises Haruhi. He does not like her at all. He doesn't understand her. And I wanted to point that out because it's like a little nuanced thing that may or may not get translated through English, at least to that degree, right? Like, we know he doesn't like her, but like, how much does he not like her? The answer is a lot. He really doesn't like her. Another thing may or may not get translated through well, I guess I'll get to this point. I'll get to this point later because it comes up in the third episode a little more. All right. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that before I go on. But anyway, so let's see. I'm looking at my notes here. Oh, and on that point, he, it's obvious that he has a crush on Mikuru. He doesn't just have a crush on Mikuru. He like he wants to get married to her like now. like he really, really likes her, right? Like, it's not that he's like, oh, it's Miss Mikuru. Oh, I love her so much. She's so pretty. Like, no, it's like he worships the ground that this woman steps on. Like, like he's crazy about it. And with that, I'm also gonna get into some dialogue things that I thought were really interesting. So I have here, let's see, page 22, and like feature me if you want to take a picture of this too. Page 22 in the third book. Let's see. I'm gonna turn to it right now. Page 22. So for example, oh, I can also show you a picture, like some of the illustrations. I guess I'll show some of the illustrations from the book too, because I think they're really good. So he says in page 22, I'm gonna read this to you guys really quick. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Oh my. The line here says, 俺は小泉と長門に言い残し、朝比奈さんに買い添えして白線の外に出た. So like, basically what it says, like, I said, oh, by the way, he said something to Nagato and Koizumi. So he said, I think he said, I'll leave it to you, basically. So he says that to Nagato and Koizumi, and then he goes beside Asahina, or like Mikuru, right? He goes beside her and goes out of the white line. So the word that he uses here is kaizoe, right? Kaizoe. So it basically just means being beside the person in a flat sense, right? It's just beside the person. But it's only used in like if we were describing a wedding, or like if we were describing like saving someone, or like a damsel in distress, maybe, right? And it's also, by the way, or I should say, this is according to my dictionary, it's mostly used with weddings. Okay, like it's mostly used with weddings, or like to support, right? Like it's the kind of beside that you use when you say I'll be beside you forever, right? Like you say that to your wife or your husband. That's the kind of beside that word is. So it's not just I went beside Mikuru, I went beside Asahina, right? It's like I went beside her because like we're basically married. Like, you know, like this is the kind of like way that Kyon thinks about Mikuru. Like he always talks like this about her, right? Because he's like just super stupid in love with her. And that's one of the tiny little nuances that may have gotten lost in translation to English, but then also in the anime, because when I watched it, because you can't hear everything that Kyon is saying in his head, right? Because there's a time slot, right? You got 22 minutes, 23 minutes. You can only say so many things. So some of the dialogue in the book is obviously not gonna make it into the anime, right? So some of it makes it in, and you can definitely hear some of it, but not everything, right? So like this is one of those lines that I don't think made it into the anime, because it wasn't a major dialogue thing, right? It was just kind of like a flavor thing. But that's why I like reading books. You get more flavor out of the material, whereas sure, the anime is cool to look at, and the action scenes are good. Don't get me wrong, I love Trigger, like like I love Trigger, but if you're reading a book, you get a lot more of the character's personality, right? You get a little bit more information, and then things like I'm gonna get into the third episode, things that seem a little bit off become more clear when you read the book. Another good example of that is gonna be in I'm also reading Seishun Buta Yoro wa Banigaru no Senpai no Yume o Minai, which is, in English, the Bunny Girl Senpai, right? Everyone knows it as Bunny Girl Senpai. I'm reading the book series, and there is absolutely a scene that was cut out. I'm gonna assume for TV censorship reasons, but knowing why, like now that I've read it, I kind of understand why it was cut out, but also it drops context for something that happens in the series. But it also here, like this, it happens here too, so you get another taste of it. Okay, let me go ahead and move on. So this is just me kind of showing you this is the degree of how we're thinking in this series that probably didn't show up in the anime. So anyway, let's move on. I'm gonna move to my notes. Okay. Right. Okay. So over in Taikutsu, right, the third book. Number 1. Let's talk about Tanabata. Okay, so the first part in Tanabata. That's the first part of. No, that's the second part of Taikutsu. So I should say, in the first episode of Taikutsu, which is the baseball game. The baseball game is pretty much 1-for-1, minus some flavor details, like I just said. Some dialogue just didn't make it in, which is fine. So that one's fine. The next one. So it's gonna slowly start changing, right? So Tanabata. Tanabata, if you don't know, is a Japanese holiday that's usually celebrated by kids. Usually they put little like wishes on a tree or like a bamboo. So I think it's traditionally bamboo, but maybe a tree. Now recently, just like nowadays, a tree. And it's just a little fun thing. It's like a fun little holiday. You just put a wish to make a wish. The story is based off a Chinese folktale about two lovers that could only meet once in a year on a bridge, and they became gods, and you can wish to them. That's the summation of it, right? I don't have to bore you with too many details. It's a nice little love story. But basically it's Tanabata. What was it? It's basically 1-for-1 for the book, but again, we're gonna get into Kyon's way of thinking here. There is some stuff that was taken out, probably due to censors. And I'm not sure you're gonna look at Kyon the same way after this if you're a fan of the series. I'm not sure if the English version of the book even changed this, because I could definitely see them doing it, because that wouldn't fly around now times. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna try to find the page. If I can find the page, I'll take a picture of it. But basically, there is a scene, if you recall, for those of you who've seen it, if there is a scene where Mikuru and him are in the park 3 years in the past because they have to go see Haruhi. Well, Mikuru doesn't know that, but she falls asleep because the older version of her comes out and puts her to sleep so she can take the time machine. And if you recall, they're in the anime, at least in the Japanese version. I don't remember I'm pretty sure they said it in English in the anime version. I don't know if it's in the novel. Anyway, Kyon is asking questions, and he has something along the lines of, why do I have to do this? Like, why are you telling me to go to this school and meet somebody and just do what they say or whatever? And adult Mikuru says, please just do this for me. I can't tell you details. If you need a reward, you can kiss the younger me while I'm still asleep. Like, she just says, just go ahead and kiss me while I'm still asleep or whatever. It's fine. And then in the anime, it stops. Like, that's it. The conversation ends. We move on to the next thing. I think Kyon has a little moment where he's contemplating doing it, and he's like, oh man, I really want to do it, but maybe it's probably not a good idea. Like, right? So he kind of does that. He does this in the book. However, he takes it a step further, which really knocked me off my guard. In the book, he also says something along the lines of, again, I'm going to try and take a picture of the book. In future me can remember to try and find it. He says, if that's the case, maybe I can cop a feel too. Or like he says something along those lines. He's like, maybe I can get my hand to touch her a little bit too. And then adult Mikuru says, yeah, no, don't do that. And that's just to show you that this guy's a high schooler. He's still a high schooler. Like, you might look at Kyon like an adult. No, man, he's a high schooler. He is still in high school. But I read that line and I was like, whoa, hey man, no, let's not do that. Okay. But hey, I guess 90s Japan. I don't know. If you grew up in the 90s, then you know it. You know what was going on. It's very different from nowadays, and yeah, that was there, and I was very surprised. Anyway, so so that's a scene that happened in Tanabata that I think was the biggest difference. Other than that, was basically the same. The next one was the one with the giant cricket. Again, basically the same. There was a little bit more information, I think, about the old god that existed in the end of that, like, you know, the one that went to sleep a billion of years ago and got woken up by the internet, or like, you know, Haruhi's picture or whatever. If you've never seen this series, then you're probably going, what the hell is happening? Welcome to Suzumiya Haruhi. You should probably go watch the series. I believe at the end of that episode, he brings up that the girl that came by to start this whole fiasco, right? The one that asked them to go investigate what was going on. It's hinted at that she probably just never existed, or maybe she was just from like one of Yuki's friends, because the way he says it is, so like this girl came in and nobody knows what happened to her, and Yuki seems to be at the middle of all this. So I think that was like the line that he said in the anime. In the book, it's a little bit more clear, and he says like, he implies that Yuki probably created her, or is probably another like a humanoid interface like her, or something that came from another dimension or something, because he just kind of outright says like she's always bringing things from other dimensions, or breaking reality, or doing whatever, and she's always at the middle of it. So it's a little bit more implied, is I guess what I'm saying. That's basically the only difference there. Now the last one. The last one is the most different, and here's why. Number one, in the anime, Kyon's sister goes with them to the island. In the book, she does not. She does not exist at all. Like, I think she exists for like that scene where she tries to hide in his bag to go on the boat. But in the book, he convinces her to stay, and she is not at all in the story whatsoever. And I think there's a reason for that, and I'm going to get into that in a second. So, so yeah, there's that, and then also, if you recall, in the anime series, there is like before the murder mystery happens, right? They are like playing games or something in a game room, right? And then it starts, right? Like they kind of get the word from the butler, and then the butler says there's been a problem, etc., etc. They did play games in the book, but it was, I want to say, during the morning of the first day of the storm. So the storm was 2 days. Okay, I think in the anime it was 1 day, if not 2 days, but there was an event that happened that didn't. There was an event that was supposed to happen that did not happen, and I think I know why. I didn't do a whole lot of research on this, but it's not really that hard to think why. So, like I said, the sister was not in the book. What was the events of what should have happened were basically okay up until this point, other than the sister coming. They played games in the room, but at that night there was another like big banquet, and they were passing around wine. Okay, and these kids are underage. All right, they're at most second-year high school students, which would put them at like 16, maybe 15, somewhere between the 16 to 15 range. The drinking age in Japan prior, because recently it went to, I believe it's 20 or 21. But before it was 18. Like, and it doesn't really matter what it was before because it's still lower than it should be, right? So they were well below drinking age. But in the book, the butler and the maid start passing out wine. And I think the caretaker, like the owner of the mansion, and everybody's there. Like, everybody is at the table. And they're passing around wine. And I believe Kyon's words were, well, I'm definitely underage, but you're offering, and I'm feeling adventurous, so let's go. So they get shit-faced drunk. They get absolutely plastered. Okay, everyone and it like describes how they drink too. So like I think Mikuru was out after like the second drink. Like she was just gone. Maybe even after the first drink, she was gone. Kyon hung in there until like everybody else kind of blacked out. Haruhi drank a lot, and she got really brazen, like more brazen than usual. Like she just got kind of like up and not like angry, but like she was being hurt. Like nothing really changed. She just got kind of talkative, like more talkative than usual. Yuki was downing bottles. She didn't even really get affected. She was just downing bottles and bottles of the stuff. Not the way it was described is with like it was like without even taking a break, she was just downing bottles, and seemingly not getting affected, which is on par with what Yuki would do. And he I think said he got through maybe like a few glasses and then eventually blacked out. And I think what happened in the anime is obviously, you know, underage drinking, not appropriate. Japan is very strict. Censorship, right? Like, so they had to fill in some time, and putting the sister in there probably helped with putting in some time, right, to fill in that 20 minutes. So I definitely see why they censored it, but it's unfortunate because that scene was very funny. And when they woke up, then that's when the murder happened. They went to go investigate. Everything was pretty much the same again up until the boat. Okay, so they go outside to check for the boat and see if I think his name was, I don't remember the guy's name. Whatever, they went to go see if the boat's gone and if he escaped or whatever. In the book, they go to see if the boat's gone. They see that it's gone. They come back. That was it. That's like 1 and 2. In the anime, they go out to see the boat. They fall off a cliff, and then they get into a cave where Kyon and Haruhi then begin discussing the whodunit part of the mystery. And then Haruhi comes to the conclusion, which is then discussed later by Koizumi and Kyon later. That didn't happen in the book, and it makes this. So this is what where it kind of changes the perspective on how Haruhi is, because I think at least to me, it feels like in the anime, Haruhi's kind of like a Mary Sue in the sense that which is totally on brand. Like she's God, like, right? Like she can just do whatever she wants. Because I think this is also mentioned. I think maybe I forget exact. No, actually, I don't think this was mentioned. This is about the baseball episode, right? So she goes and plays baseball, and she's like a pro, right? Like you can just see it, right? She's hitting home runs or like not a home run. I don't think she got a home run, but like she was hitting it really good, and they were playing against like professionals, right? I don't think it was outright explained in the anime, but in the book, yeah. So they're just a bunch of high schoolers and an 8-year-old, right, in the baseball team. The opposite team was a college team that was like, they've been to professional games, right? Like they do this professionally. When Kyon asked Haruhi, hey, have you ever played baseball before? Like, do you even know the rules? I believe what she says was, I played baseball for 10 minutes. When I joined the baseball club for 10 minutes, and I thought it was stupid, so I quit. And she tried to recite some rules, and I believe the rules that she recited was football. So it was very obvious she didn't know what she was doing. But then she proceeded to start doing home runs because she just believed she was good, because she could just change reality like that. That's just her thing. So she believed she was good, so she subconsciously made herself a pro without actually making herself a pro. That in the book, she's kind of perceived more like she's an idiot, but she can do whatever she wants because she's God. In the anime, to me, it's more perceived like, because she is God, she is like Superman. Like, she can just do whatever she wants. So like in this scene where they're in the cave, it's kind of like, oh, I'm subconsciously God, so I kind of just figured this out, right? I figured this out because I could. Which is fine. It's on brand, right? Like, it's fine. In the book, what happens is Kyon and Haruhi go back to the room. They meet Koizumi. Everyone regroups in the room with Mikuru still knocked out, like she passed out. And Koizumi is the one who's breaking it down. He's the one who starts breaking down everything. And it's really interesting because there's a few more clues that he accidentally drops that makes Kyon realize what was actually happening, which is another thing that's different from the anime. I'll get that in a second. So what Koizumi says is he explains exactly what Haruhi explains in the cave, right? He like gets to the point where it's like, okay, well then he falls face down, and that's how he gets stabbed in the knife, right? Stabbed with a knife. And then somewhere around that time, he purposefully asks Yuki, who's in the room, he says, how long does it take for a body that's been stabbed to death to lose its body heat? And then Yuki gives the answer. I think she said like, a day or so. And he asked that specifically like that. And the reason I say this like this is because if you recall in the anime, there's a scene where Kyon says, when they're trying to go back into the room, he says, Yuki, you gotta stop being like a supercomputer and take some like initiative, right? Like, you gotta stop reading things so specifically, right? That line makes less sense in the anime because this scene was taken out. So when this scene is put back in, Koizumi says the line exactly like that. How long does a body take to lose its body heat? Yuki answers the question. Which Kyon then says, wait, how do you know that? How do you know this? Oh, screw it. You're a supercomputer. You, whatever. But then he starts to think, wait a minute. Right? Like, you asked it this way. Okay, hang on a second. And then they point out that regardless if he was face down, that's not possible because when we found him, he was face up, right? So then that's when Haruhi comes to the conclusion of, oh, I know what happened. And then she says nothing, right? Like, because she doesn't want to scare her friends, or she doesn't want to, like, I guess, not tattle, but like, she doesn't want to break apart her friendship that she's made, right? Because she cares about her friends. She's not 100% an evil being, she's just stupid. So Kyon at this point doesn't quite understand. So he goes and talks to Koizumi. And by doesn't quite understand, I don't mean this part of the play, but the thing behind the curtain, which we're gonna get to in a second. So he goes to Koizumi and says, hey man, what did you mean by this? And so Koizumi kind of spells it out like, hey, the actual murder was all three of us because we busted in the door, and then he died because the pressure that we put on the door also pushed the knife in. And then Kyon says, no, that's not what I meant. What is up with all of this? And why did you ask Yuki this way? And why did you say long time no see to a butler who claims to have only worked here for 2 to 3 weeks? Right, like he starts picking apart all of the clues that have been happening up to this point. One of the clues being that he asked Yuki in that very specific way, because had he said, hey, how long did it take for, or like even probably like is the owner of the mansion dead? Or like, how long did it take for the owner of the mansion to lose his body heat? She would have just said he's alive, because she's a supercomputer. she just reads input and then spits output. She doesn't understand nuance, I guess, at this point. So that's why like he said it that way. So suddenly that line that was in the anime that made no impact suddenly has more impact. You know what I mean? So it's a little interesting. And then basically Kyon is the one that figures out with Koizumi, like, right, he doesn't, Koizumi already knew, he's the one who put the whole thing up as a show, but Kyon figures out this whole thing was a facade, it's just a play, the entire thing was just to keep Haruhi entertained so she wouldn't break reality. Koizumi even had a group of people ready to come in as police officers had the storm not come in, and even Kyon was like, I'm not even sure if the storm was part of the plan, but it's very possible that Yuki made the storm just to, you know, keep it simple or whatever. But yeah, like Koizumi was ready with a group of people in his organization. All of these people were in his organization, and they were ready to just put on a show for Haruhi, just to keep her entertained. And at the end of the book, Haruhi still thinks that they did it up until the very end of the book, where all of the people involved in the play show up on the pier and they're like, haha, it was a joke, yay, like, you know, like, so she realizes that there was no actual murder or anything, it was just a joke, or like a, you know, whodunit play or whatever, and she kind of takes it in stride or whatever, and everyone's okay. And that's how the book ends, right? It ends like that. In the anime, if you've seen the anime, you have a Phoenix Wright reference, right? You have a nice big Phoenix Wright objection kind of back and forth with Koizumi. And that's just as fun. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just different, right? So like, it's interesting, right? Like, it's just really interesting, the differences between the two mediums and the choices that were made to keep it entertaining. Because I think if, you know, on the chance that the anime did do it the way the book did it at the end, it may not have been entertaining to the average viewer, right? Because I mean, if we're being real, like, at the very end, Koizumi and Kyon were just talking in a room, right? Like, they were just talking. It's way more entertaining to watch a Phoenix Wright reference than to see that, right, in a cartoon, right, in an anime. So I like, you know, it's just really interesting, the decisions that they made, because like, me coming from from a place of, I watched this in English at one point and had no reference to the source material, and it was really funny. Now I'm reading the source material and it's like just as funny, if not more so, and it's great. I love it. So I felt like I don't see stuff like this on YouTube. I don't see, like, unless maybe you read like a thread, I don't see more like threads or something about little differences like this. So I figured it would be fun to share this with people who are fans of this series and other series. Like, I want to do this with more things. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out my niche here. I'm just trying to figure out what I can do to, you know, just add to a conversation. I don't know. But that's it. That's what I got for you for today. The first 3 books of the Suzumiya Haruhi series. I definitely plan to read all of them. I think what I'm gonna do, since the next book is the movie, I'm probably gonna read the book and then read the movie, see what's different. And if it's not too different, I'm just gonna keep going and we're gonna go, because, you know, not really much point in making a video about something that's basically the same thing. And by this point, I think the Gundam should be built. I hope I timed it. I take a long time to build models. I don't know if it's an actual Gundam or not. I'm probably building my Godzilla model. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. But if you watch this all the way to the end, I appreciate it. 最後まで見ていただいてありがとうございます。Like if you have any suggestions, series, anything, like if you have anything that you are like, oh my god, I love this series and I want to know what happens at the end, and like Wikipedia isn't enough, right? Like I need to know more things, right? Like if you have anything like that, like let me know. Put it in a comment. I'm on Twitter, X, whatever. Probably just send me something and be like, hey, check this out, and I'll try to get to it in my free time because I love looking at new stuff, especially if it's in a Japanese medium. I love this language. I tell my friends, like, I don't care if you have anything you want me to translate because I love translating this. Like, I feel like Yuki in this position where I need input, or like I guess Johnny 5. I need more input, right? I think I dated myself, but that's okay. But the next, currently, like as of right now, right? So the series that I'm reading are that, the Haruhi. I'm reading 青春部と夜はバニーガールの夢を見ない。バニーガール先輩の夢を見ない。So I'm reading Bunny Girl. And I'm also reading a series called Sora no Otoshimono, which I think in English is Heaven's Lost Property. It's a manga series, so that's a manga series. I might do Bunny Girl Senpai next, because I've finished most of I'm on the 3rd book for that one. I'm on the 6th book for the other one, but the manga so far has been pretty on par with the anime, so I don't have a lot to talk about yet. But once I get to a point where there's more to talk about, because I know that anime series also didn't finish, and it was a series that I watched when I went on a camping trip one time with my parents, and I was bored, and I was like, what is this? Oh, boobs. Like, okay. But I really liked the designs and the music, so I was really interested, and then I found the entire manga series for like, again, less than a yen, or like a yen, right, plus shipping. So I was like, all right, screw it, I'll pick up what, 20 books for 500 yen, like whatever. So it was pretty lucky. So yeah, just let me know. I want to do stuff like that. Sounds like fun, and I'll try to do it in my crappy 9-to-5 schedule. The talking part doesn't take that long, and I'm not a video editor, but I'm assuming that future me is not doing much editing, because it's just going to be the model building plus talking thing, and then maybe some cuts here and there. So I don't know, just let me know. I'm gonna go drink some water because I'm thirsty. Okay, I'll see you next time. Let me see. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, etc. Hit a bell. Hit the bell. I don't know. Have a nice day. 皆さん登録していただいたら幸いです。ぜひまた見てみてください。見てください。ぜひご覧ください。Okay. Have a nice day. また来い。